Hard to actually decide upon a single weird session for this event. My lovely family informed me that I do have many and they are varied. There is my fascination for the collection of and display of condiment jars, which is amazingly exciting, as you can all imagine. There's also my obsession to cover the entire world in red glitter. That has involved everything from shoes to badges to pears and a quite ill-advised venture with the bedraggled apple in the middle of the night, and it may have involved a couple of glasses of Sauvignon Blanc or 3 or 4 or something like that. But overall, there is one aspect of my life where my obsessive nature ventures from casually curious to investing in my very own latex suit, and that would be zombies. I'm a big zombie fan. She's just another one of the Walking Dead hangers-on, I hear you say, but no. Well, yes, I am partial to a bit of Walker action, and yes, I may have entertained the odd erotic daydream about a crossbow-carrying, scraggy, half-assed beard-growing redneck. This is not where my zombie obsession began. Come gather around, people, hear my obsessive zombie-loving origin story. It's the story of a scrawny, young, blonde-haired girl from 1980s country Victoria, living in a small farmhouse on the edge of the Mallee, in love with Bananarama, a worrying fondness for hair bobbles, and a stellar ability to take off her kneecaps and toenails while falling off her bike. One day, she hears a knock at the door. Curiously, she opens the door to find her older brother pacing excitedly. Eyes darting back and forth, he whispers, "Is Mum home?" A response in the negative, and he bounds through the door, straight into the lounge room with a single video cassette in hand. As I engaged in annoying little sister mode, popping my head over his shoulder and under his arm repeatedly, I noticed that the videotape had the little plastic tabs broken off to prevent re-recording. This was serious. As the video cassette was sucked into the machine with a clack and a click, I had time to notice a single word written in blue biro on the white side sticker. Thriller. There was a hushed moment as we looked at each other. Identical grins appeared on our faces. The specifically mum-prohibited video was in our machine, in our house. We sat side by side on the chocolate brown corduroy couch, my brother, the remote grasped in his hand, grey cord trailing back to the machine. Me, bubbles vibrating with excitement, glass of Tang clasped in my hand. 'Cause it was thriller, thriller night. I'm still a bit excited by that moment, and I am trying out for the voice come next week, as you can tell. The rest is but an ecstasy-filled blur of killer beats and awesome dead dance moves. But what I did realise in that moment in 1984 was that zombies were cool. Many a year passed on the farm. Barbies were shunned in the favour of killing imaginary Walking Dead in various bucolic locations. My equally left-of-centre farm neighbours were up to the task, while other girls were braiding hair and learning the fine art of eyeliner application, something which evades me to this day. We were keeping the world safe from an onslaught of imaginary supernatural foes. When, some years later, I was to see the original Dawn of the Dead at a sleepover at Melita Sereni's house in Year 11, I was sold. Though slightly disappointed at the lack of killer undead flash mobs. But while thriller may have been my gateway drug, George A. Romero's 1979 masterpiece and his Dead series became my drug of choice. I've also watched the 2004 reboot of Romero's classic, but frankly seeing Phil from Modern Family in this version kinda takes the edge off. I'm still watching it repeatedly, but Phil, By the early 90s, my love of all things zombie was in full swing. I was sourcing my next hit at every opportunity, be it cinematic or musical. The Cranberries' classic Zombie may have been a great song in isolation, but when taken in the light of my animated Dead Haze, it was pure brilliance. By the 2000s, I was lost in a mire of groaning, brain-eating zombie action. My husband became my enabler and first-class zombie dealer, downloading any zombie or zombie-sounding movie he could find. If it had dead in the title, it was mine. Good or bad, I watched it day after day after day after lots more days. I began to critically analyse the plots of D-grade movie zombies. yelling at the screen in a scene not dissimilar to the yelling that occurs in our lounge room when Christopher Pine or Barnaby Joyce appear on Quanda. Headshot! Headshot! Don't you know about headshots? Herschel his leg, you fool! Double tap! Double tap! You're a tool, Pine! Oops, sorry. I have sought out every BuzzFeed zombie quiz I can find, and yes, I would last until the end of the zombie apocalypse. Though luckily, the first question is never, do you have a medical condition? Or, do you require mobility aid? Say a wheelchair. But I'm totally sorted on the who do you trust and what weapon do you need. Without pesky questions about a reliance on pharmaceuticals or, say, a pacemaker and wheelchair, I know I'm home and hosed for any future zombie apocalypse. As the time passed, I moved from classic zombie fare to comedy and frequently unintentional comedy of the low-budget and sometimes high-budget zombie movie. Dance of the Dead is a standout. There is not only a zombie high school prom, but there is also a zombie-on-zombie make-out session. If you haven't debased yourself enough to find enjoyment in watching zombies slow dance to Pat Benatar's Shadows of the Night, be happy you will never know the lows of zombie loving I have descended to. Though frankly, if you can't get enjoyment out of a plot that reads as follows, I don't want to know you. It is prom night in middle America. Tuxes have been rented and dresses have been bought, but when the dead unexpectedly rise from their graves to eat the living, it is up to the geeks, the nerds, the outcasts and the losers who couldn't get dates to the prom to save the town from the undead. Pure zombie brilliance. Oh, the depths I have gone in search of my next zombie hit. I've watched it all from 1945's Zombies on Broadway, starring Bela Lugosi, to the Norwegian zombie comedy horror classic Dead Snow, and Dead Snow 2, which involves Nazi zombies in the snow. From Zombieland to zombie strippers, World War Z and Z Nation and iZombie, the flashy Resident Evil series with the kick-ass Mila Jovovich, dawn, day, return or night of, I've consumed it all, repeatedly. My living dead shame knows no bounds when, on a warm day in October in 2011, I stumbled across the competition to be styled and photographed as the undead of choice. I jumped at the opportunity. My uncoordinated sausage thumbs tapped a furious 140 character entry. I sat back on the couch, invoking the spirit of Romero, while quietly chanting, "Pick me, pick me, pick me." My squee, as I learned that I had won and could have been heard in Perth, or at least in the next room by my two decidedly underwhelmed Great Danes. Instead, I called my family, who, although weary, continued to tolerate my zombie obsession. They may have responded with a confused, "What?" followed by a, "Yes dear, that's really, really exciting." But I didn't care. I was going to be a zombie. Finally, a dream that began in a beige, brown and orange lounge room in 1984 was being realised. And that strange little girl in the Bristol t-shirt who sat on the couch with her brother watching and re-watching Dancing Ghouls all those years ago was having her weird little girl dreams come true. I was excited. So much so that my attempts to be an angry and menacing zombie were continuously foiled by an unstoppable grin. I became forever known as the happiest zombie the photographer had ever shot. I revelled in that photo shoot. I was brain-eating zombie, pin-up zombie, film noir zombie, and an ill-fated photos will never, ever, ever see the light of day beach blanket bingo zombie. There was pasty skin and gore and much fake blood, the capsules of which taste vaguely like aniseed, with a side of arse. There were brains and body parts and bloody handprint-covered walls in the lounge room come studio, and there was joy. Pure, unadulterated, zombie-obsessed joy. And as I sit here before you now, I have yet to overcome my zombie obsession. I'm still searching for the next gore-filled high. I scour Zombipedia for the next release. I run through the titles late at night or while I should be doing other more important things, like showering. Have I missed one? There could be one. It might be the best one yet. What if I miss it? And so, I pick chip crumbs from my dressing gown and brush my lank hair from my eyes and mumble my best "arr, arr," while I dream simple dreams of headshots and gore explosions. And while I eagerly await the arrival of 2016's Prides, Prejudice and Zombies, I am left to dream of the Make-A-Wish Foundation for 40-something-year-old women with weird medical conditions. Well, they'll fly me to Georgia, I'll be zombied up, and Daryl Dixon will shoot an arrow through my eye, or Miss Sean will behead me. I'm not picky, but I would be one happy zombie-obsessed camper. Thank you.
Oh, how good was that, Michelle, everybody? Oh. And you all thought about staying home tonight, wasn't it? Amazing. All right, now next up we have